Everyone, welcome back to Venena Sports Media. Next installment of NBA Shorts. I'm Jiarmani here with Jarrod Prosser, and we're going to talk some playoff basketball and discussion of whether Jayson Tatum is considered a superstar in this league. Jarrod, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's frankly a really, really cold Monday night over here in Australia. We're right on the doorstep of winter now, but we've got basketball to keep us warm.
Diving in quickly here, Golden State is out to a 3-0 lead against Dallas. Dallas got it close. It was 109 to 100. Luka puts up 40 the second time in this series. And the interesting stat is that he's put up 40 points in this single postseason at least three times, and they have lost three of those games. And it's on the last player to do that was LeBron James in the 2009 playoff run with Cleveland. And I just find it crazy. Is it more of a credit to Golden State and how good they've been with their championship pedigree, or is it more Dallas just not supporting Luka enough?
I think it is further evidence that the heliocentric offense was never destined to succeed. We talk about James Harden being, I suppose, that Houston era, MVP era Harden being the poster boy for let's just give this guy the ball, let him do everything at one end, and we'll take care of defense for him, which is essentially what Dallas's model is. I'm glad you mentioned LeBron in 2009 having a similar type of record to what Luka has in this playoffs. Because if you remember back to that team, there was Andy Varejao, Boobie Gibson. I think Ilgauskas may have still been there then. I'm not sure.
But there wasn't really old Shaq around that time too.
They may have had 40-year-old Shaq at that point. Yeah, you're right. But either way, it was LeBron and not a whole lot else. This is what we're seeing with Dallas. Brunson is good, but he's not great. He took apart Utah's backcourt, but everyone takes apart Utah's backcourt. He struggled since then. Dinwiddie's been much better than I expected. The rest of the guys are hit and miss. Finney-Smith, Bertans, Kleber, all these guys, they might go for 20 in a game, but it's a 1 in 6 proposition. To me, it's the contrast in styles. Dallas is that, it feels weird to say it, but old-fashioned heliocentric offense from mid-last decade, whereas Golden State, they've got this supernova in Steph, but even going back to their championship days, they had balance. They had Steph, they had Clay, they had other good offensive players who could chip in, and they have an all-world defense. It's a much more balanced lineup that Golden State have, and I think that's proving a difference.
Yeah, I think it's crazy looking at the stats because Luka had 40, Dinwiddie had 26 off the bench, and Brunson had 20. Out of their 100 points, those three combined for 86 of their points.
Yeah. Kleber couldn't hit a shot. Finney-Smith couldn't hit a shot. This is where they missed Tim Hardaway. They really missed Tim Hardaway for these situations because if nothing else, and often he does nothing else, but he will get you buckets.
Yeah.
He's a good, consistent mid-teen scorer. And a mid-teen scorer might have won them 1 or 2 games in support of Luka this series.
You think he was going 0 of 10 like Reggie Bullock last night?
Oh, that's the one I forgot. I knew there was someone I was missing who couldn't hit a basket. Man, look, but that is Reggie Bullock, though. He's another one of these guys that 1 out of 6 games, he'll go 5 for 8 from 3. Mm-hmm. But the other games, he goes, 1 of 7.
Yeah.
He's that sort of player. He's a trick-or-treat player. Good defender. And an upstanding citizen, by all reports, a wonderful teammate, but his shooting comes and goes.
What can Dallas do? Is there any salvaging this series for him? I think they may even be able to get a game. I feel they'll at least get a game to make it interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a gentleman's sweep in this. But I mean, look, I got to admit, Trey and I did our previews, and I wavered. I thought this could really go either way because I thought, well, Luka is the best player in the series, and that's often what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But I got to admit, I didn't expect Dallas's supporting cast to lay the egg that they have. Dinwiddie aside, he's been good.
Yeah.
And again, I don't necessarily think that's Dallas's fault. I think that's more on Golden State's defense. They're well drilled. They're experienced. They know each other really well, and they've been in this situation whereas Dallas haven't. This is new territory for a lot of these Mavs.
Yeah, Lucas said in the press conference afterward, he's still learning. He's a 23-year-old phenom,
Mm.
absolutely. Just a final thought on Dallas. So say the gentleman sweep does happen, they're in the offseason. I feel the best way for them to kind of progress into a better team and to kind of build off it, they have to get a second star next to Luka because Porzingis
Oh,
didn't work.
they
Yeah,
do, but it's got to be the right type of star. Yeah, this is the trick, and this is the difficult thing with somebody who's so heliocentric. And much like Harden in his prime, Luka doesn't really move when he doesn't have the ball, like Westbrook in his prime as well. Well, Westbrook now as well doesn't move when he doesn't have the ball. You know, it's pretty much standing in the corner, hands on his knees. John Wall's another one who's like that. The trick is finding somebody who complements Luka, but who can take the pressure off him. Porzingis, in theory, complemented him, but Porzingis isn't a pick and roll player. He's a pick and pop guy. He's not he can never handle the ball. You know, there were red flags there, and those red flags proved to be too much. I'm not really sure where they go. My big concern is they pay Brunson somewhere between 18 to 22 million a year, and they lose the opportunity to go and get somebody who might complement him. Brunson does complement him, but he's not good enough to be the second star. If he's your third best player, you're doing all right. If he's your second, you're going to struggle.
Gotcha. And you say they need another guard, or are they looking for more of the big man territory?
Oh, this is such a tough one. See, if you're looking for a big, you're really looking for, you know, a really versatile big who can play defense, who can step out, who can run. Yeah, you're almost looking for somebody who is Giannis adjacent, which, you know, is obviously exceptionally difficult to find. You know, you're looking for someone like you're looking for someone like an Anthony Davis or a Bam.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to happen. So I don't know where they find this person from. This is the tough thing. Luka, he's not a difficult fit in the way that Ben Simmons is a difficult person to build around, but he is still a difficult person to build around because he's so good with the ball in his hands.
Yeah. Well, Dallas has a lot to think about within the next few days with Game 4 coming up and what's going on in the offseason. Time is ticking for him.
One final note on Dallas, though, Jiarmani. They, yes, they have a lot to think about how they're going to build it. But as you said, he's 23. They've got probably 10 years of his prime left to do this. They've got the institutional knowledge of knowing that, okay, we made the finals with Dirk as a 25-year-old or 26-year-old, whatever he was at the time. And it looks like their moment had passed, but they managed to build a team a full 5 seasons later that won a championship. So whilst they might not get it right this time around, they've got so much time up their sleeve.
Yeah.
And certainly not the same front office, but as a franchise, they've done this before in recent memory. You know, built one team that wasn't quite good enough and then built a championship team the second go around a megastar. So it's not all, you know, it's not all bad news if this incarnation of the Mavs doesn't work.
Yeah. No, I understand. I guess food for thought is Luka willing to wait how Dirk was willing to buy in and wait.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
Just leave it on that. But switching over to the other side with Celtics and Heat, game 3 in Boston was it's crazy. This stat, Miami's only outscored Boston 2 out of the 12 quarters they played, and they up 2-1. I don't think I said that I had the Celtics going on 5. Obviously, that's out the window. But I don't believe that this is the best Celtic team that can go up against Miami. I feel they're really missing Rob Williams, but I do think Celtics still pull it out in 6. I don't think this goes 7. I think if the Celtics execute, the biggest thing is execution, they're winning the series.
I tipped the Heat in 7, but I did say that this was going to be a drag them down, like just a you know, to use the old Kevin Garnett quote, this is a bar fight. This is the thing. Like you mentioned, Time Lord's been out, Smart's been out, Horford's been out. At the same time, Butler's hobbled, Lowry's been out, Tyler Hero's battling some sort of ailment. These guys are both playing with half a team, essentially, you know, with half of their best players hobbled.
Yeah.
So even the disadvantages are even, if that makes sense. I think that the reason that Miami are able to pull these big runs is partly a little bit more veteran presence. For most of Boston's guys, this is, new territory. Yes, they made a conference final back when Kyrie and Hayward were there, but they weren't, this wasn't Tatum and Brown's team. This was before expectation. Whereas the Heat have done this before. Lowry's a champion. Butler's made finals. Bam, as a young man, made a finals. And the other side of it is, as much as Ime Udoka is a really good coach, Spoelstra is the best in the league, and it's not close. He's a wonderful, wonderful basketball coach. Finds every little edge, every little angle that there is, he will find it. And I think that there are periods where Boston start to get some ascendancy, and Miami are able to shut that down. Whereas when Miami gets some ascendancy, it takes a little bit longer, whether it's coaching or playing or a mixture of the two. It takes Boston a bit longer to solve the issue that's in front of them. And by that stage, Miami have made their run. Having said that, Game 3, Boston did make a big run, and it took Miami a long time to solve it. So maybe that's as much as Boston lost the game, that was a really positive step for them.
Yeah, I would say it was funny that how bad Jayson Tatum played in Game 3, and Boston still had it to at close. I believe it was a 3 or 6 point game. They got it to between
3 points,
at least a 2 possession game, at least up to a 1 possession game, and their best player played like garbage. And I think Game 3, it's not solely on Jayson Tatum, but it's a big part of why they didn't eke out the win. I think they win Game 4, and then I feel it's going to be that for whatever reason, this Boston team, when it comes to adversity, they always love making their fans as stressful as possible in these playoff runs, whether it's a Game 7 or they're down 2-1. It's like, oh, they got to get this win. I feel this Boston team just loves facing adversity, and they're just here for it.
And that's another thing where these two teams are quite evenly matched. They're both very mentally tough. Neither of them seem to get too phased when things are looking really bad. Having said that, if Boston go down 3-0, I don't see a way back for them. 3-1. I don't see a way back for them. And I agree with you. I think Boston pull out Game 4. I don't think they lose 2 on the bounce at home. And then, then we're down to a 3-game series. It's a crapshoot from there.
Yeah.
I still think Miami get it done, but I mean, you go down to a 3-game series, anything can happen.
Yeah. It's crazy the amount of defense. I credit Miami's defense, and they play a different style of great defense compared to Boston. Boston's more face up. We're gonna have a hand in your face, and we're gonna make sure your shooters are miserable. While Miami, they try to speed you up and throw you and put you into bad situations to get turnovers and get steals and flexion.
Really physical.
They feed you to Bam, or if you don't want to go to Bam, you try to shoot it out. Jimmy Butler's right there in the lane, and then they'll go on the other way. That's what's really been pushing a lot of the Miami runs, mainly the 2 quarters that they won. In Game 1, when they went on that 22-2 run in the third, it was a lot of bad passes, a lot of turnovers to Boston. They just had it and started piling up the other way. The best thing, they just, like you said, they're mentally tough, but they need I feel, just be a lot more composed in those situations. And I like now, and it goes to show the growth of Coach Udoka. And at the beginning of the season, I feel he was trying a whole lot more not to kind of make his players accountable, because he didn't really have their trust yet or anything like that. And that's why probably they were playing bad. Now he calls a timeout maybe 2 minutes in the first quarter, and he starts yelling at everybody, which I love. I love the passion that he brings.
Oh, I think he's going to be a very, very good coach. You touched on something there about 30 seconds ago on the turnovers, which was a really good point. I saw a stat today. There were 23 turnovers Boston had. And, you look at that just in a box score and you go, geez, that's horrible. 19 of those turnovers were live ball, where you're basically just handing a fast break to the opposition. As a coach, if any of the teams I coach, I would rather them have 24 dead ball turnovers. Just throw it into the stands rather than 12 live ball ones. At least you can get back and set your defense. But 19 live ball turnovers is astonishing. And that's you give a good team that many fast break opportunities, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Absolutely. Just to kind of focus more on Jayson Tatum, since he had the bad Game 3, I feel we've seen what he can do when his back's against the wall against Milwaukee in Game 6.
Yes.
And I was on the record here saying that was, if the Celtics win the championship, that's an all-time great performance for Jayson Tatum, and it kind of propels them into that superstar category if they end up winning the finals. But at this point now, we got to see what Jayson Tatum is really made of. Because the Celtics is facing adversity, Jayson Tatum is right in the middle of that. This team goes as far as him and Jaylen Brown are willing to take it. So I feel we need to see a big, hey, I've arrived game from Jayson Tatum in this series.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the first time that the Celtics have been in true contention with Tatum as the main man. So there is a lot of pressure on him now, and he has at times stepped up. There have been times where he's tripped over his own laces, but that happens. He's still young. He's still developing into, like, surely he will be a superstar at one stage. Surely he will be a perennial MVP contender for a period in his career. He's not there yet, and it's games like Game 3 that show that he's not there yet. He hasn't figured out he's not able to figure out the best defenses and find a way to create. It took Giannis a few years to do that. It took LeBron. LeBron's, for mine, the second greatest player of all time. And it took LeBron James probably 5 or 6 years to really figure this sort of stuff out. He put up big numbers, but it wasn't until, I can't remember the year, but there was a year where he scored like an obscene number of points in a row against Detroit in a playoff game.
Yeah.
Where
you're talking about that. I think he scored 27 points in the fourth quarter by himself.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was fourth quarter and overtime, and he just did everything. But and that was a really good defensive side, and they threw everything at him, and he figured it out in a flight. And that was the moment you went, okay, he's just about there now. Tatum will have that moment. It might be this year, it might not. But you're absolutely right. If Boston are to win this title, then Tatum has to arrive as a genuine bona fide superstar this season.
Yeah, I feel when it comes to winning a championship, you need to have a top 5 player in the league, and I feel the Celtics win. Yeah, like we can go on a whole tangent about what in the NBA is considered a superstar, because I feel that term is thrown out a lot to a lot of these young guys.
Way overused.
We would be here for 45 minutes to an hour at least.
Yeah, no, that's a pod in and of itself.
Yes. It would be a great pod at that. But yeah, for the Celtics, I feel Jayson Tatum is going to have to, I'm not saying play angry, but this guy, we're going to have to see what exactly he's truly made of. And Jaylen Brown, he's been balling out, and he has some things he needs to work on, but it's a great thing. These guys are growing up together.
Dribbling.
One thing
needs to work on his dribbling.
Oh, it's crazy. Regular season, this dude is playing with the ball on a string, and now he can't even hold it for 2 dribbles. But it may be a testament to Miami's defense. I'll give them credit for that. But I feel the fact that they have made this many conference finals at such a young age, I feel people are gonna kind of undervalue them as players and undervalue this team, because they made it to at least I believe it was like 3 or 4 conference finals in the last couple of years. And they've yet to make a finals. Somebody made a nice comparison. No one would like being the bridesmaid at every wedding they go to.
There's really shit rom-com movies about exactly that, exactly that theory. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Yeah. And eventually they will make it fun. Surely they've got. I mean, it's Boston. It's a big traditional ball club. They're in a big city. They've got owners that are willing to spend. Brad Stevens looks pretty decent in the front office. He's not Ainge, but Ainge wasn't Ainge for a few years.
Yeah,
Joker looked really good, and they've got a wonderful young core. I mean, if you said to me, "We're going to build a team around Tatum, Brown, and Time Lord," just those 3. Forget anybody else. Just those 3. Okay, 2 high-scoring 2-way wings. And a defensive player of the year, an eventual defensive player of the year candidate inside, you'd sit there and go, yeah, we got our building blocks here. We can do something with this. So Boston are on the right track. I honestly don't think they'll win this series. I think Miami's primed. And I've underestimated Miami all season, and that's on me. I've come around to them late. But yeah, I mean, Boston are on the right track, and Tatum is on the right track.
Yeah, but we just gotta wait and see. But Jarrod, thank you so much for joining me on this. It was a lot of great discussion about Luka and the Dallas Mavericks and how they kind of need to try to find a way to salvage the series. Boston, I feel, has it in them to kind of face adversity again and again. So I feel whether or not this series, whoever wins the series, it's gonna be a bloodbath. And
they will have answered.
Yeah, it would. They're gonna push it, and there's gonna be a whole lot of different narratives being pushed along the way. But I've been Jeremiah DePena for the Vendetta Sports Media Group, and thank you for watching.